A History of Arda and Middle-earth. Part 2. The early history of Arda, with its cyclical creation and destruction, reflects Tolkien's view of history as a series of rises and falls, each marked by acts of courage and loss. His world-building draws heavily from ancient myth, particularly Norse and Christian theology, with their emphasis on a cosmic struggle between good and evil forces. Melkor's rebellion and the repeated destruction he brings upon the world exemplify Tolkien's cautionary message about the dangers of unchecked ambition and pride. In Arda, Tolkien presents a creation myth that emphasizes the fragile beauty of the world and the continual need to protect and preserve it. The two lamps and two trees are symbols of hope and beauty that, while destroyed, inspire the Valar and Elves to continue their efforts to bring light into a darkened world. In Tolkien's mythology, this light is never entirely extinguished. It is passed down, preserved in relics like the Silmarils and, later, the light of Eärendil's star. This continual passage of light serves as a testament to the endurance of good in Tolkien's world. The Valar's resilience, despite repeated losses, embodies a spirit of persistence that characterizes much of Tolkien's writing. Through their efforts, Tolkien celebrates the value of creation and the conviction that beauty is worth defending, even when faced with inevitable hardship. The early history of Arda, as depicted in the Silmarillion, is a meditation on the nature of creation, destruction, and resilience. The shaping of Arda, disrupted and restored through the two lamps and two trees, reflects Tolkien's belief in the enduring nature of good and the cyclical nature of history. The Valar's efforts to create and preserve beauty, despite Melkor's persistent malice, illustrate Tolkien's conviction that light, no matter how fragile, will persist even in the darkest times. This mythic narrative serves as the foundation for the epic conflicts that will arise in The Lord of the Rings and Tolkien's wider legendarium. The story of Arda's shaping is a reminder of the eternal struggle between creation and destruction, unity and discord, and it underscores the hopeful message that beauty and goodness, though often threatened, are resilient forces in a world of change. Through this myth, Tolkien invites readers to consider the value of creation, the nature of power, and the enduring hope that light will prevail, no matter how great the darkness. The Silmarils, three radiant jewels crafted by the Noldoran prince Feanor, are among the most powerful and tragic symbols in Tolkien's legendarium. The tale of the Silmarils weaves together the themes of beauty, pride, loyalty, and ambition, with devastating consequences for the elves and the world of Middle-earth. As the catalyst for the conflict between the elves and the Dark Valar Melkor, later known as Morgoth, the Silmarils reflect the complex nature of desire and the consequences of unchecked ambition. The Silmarils are created by Feanor, one of the most gifted elves and the son of Finwë, High King of the Noldor in Valinor. Feanor's talent for crafting, especially in the art of jewel making, sets him apart from other elves, and the Silmarils are his greatest achievement. Each Silmaril contains the light of the two trees, Telperion and Laurelin, which have been destroyed by Melkor and Ungoliant. The Silmarils thus serve as the last remnants of that pure and original light, embodying the beauty and wonder of Valinor. Feanor's pride in his creation is as luminous as the Silmarils themselves, and his desire to protect them reveals his complex character. While he loves the Silmarils as a representation of his skill and creativity, his possessiveness begins to corrupt that love. This pride alienates Feanor from his kin, and foreshadows his tragic downfall. Feanor's possessiveness over the Silmarils is not merely an act of protection. It reveals his belief that they rightfully belong to him alone. His refusal to share them with others reflects his distrust and resentment toward both the Valar and his own family, especially his half-brothers Fingolfin and Finarfin. The Silmarils symbolize the ambivalence of beauty and power. They are sources of immense beauty, yet they become objects of desire and conflict. In Tolkien's narrative, the creation of beautiful things, whether it be jewels, weapons, or works of art, carries a moral responsibility. Feanor's failure to recognize this leads to tragic consequences, as his obsession with the Silmarils blinds him to the suffering of others and leads him to make dangerous alliances and promises. Feanor's fall is catalyzed by the betrayal of Melkor, who has long harbored jealousy and resentment toward the Valar and the Elves. In his quest for domination, Melkor covets the Silmarils, seeing in them a source of power that could solidify his rule over Middle-earth. After being released from his imprisonment, Melkor begins to sow seeds of mistrust and dissent among the elves, playing on Feanor's pride and suspicions. Melkor's influence causes Feanor to mistrust the Valar and his kin even more deeply, pushing him toward isolation and resentment. Melkor's theft of the Silmarils and his destruction of the two trees mark one of the darkest moments in the Silmarillion. By poisoning and killing the two trees, Melkor and his ally Ungoliant extinguish the light that the Valar brought to Arda, plunging Valinor into darkness. Melkor's theft is not just an act of physical robbery. It is a symbolic assault on beauty, peace, and order. This event sets into motion a chain reaction of vengeance and hatred, forever altering the fate of the elves and Middle-earth. The Darkening of Valinor, as this event is called, represents the fragility of beauty and harmony in Tolkien's world. The fall of the two trees, followed by the theft of the Silmarils, suggests that even the most powerful creations are vulnerable to corruption and destruction. Melkor's actions reveal his true nature as Morgoth, the dark enemy of the world, setting the stage for an age-long struggle between the forces of good and evil. Enraged by Melkor's theft of the Silmarils, Feanor swears a terrible oath, binding himself and his 7 sons to pursue anyone who possesses the jewels, whether mortal, elf, or Valar. This oath is one of the most devastating moments in the Silmarillion, as it leads to the exile of the Noldor from Valinor and sets them on a path of endless conflict and bloodshed. The oath of Feanor, sworn in a moment of blind fury and pride, is an irrevocable vow that becomes a curse upon Feanor's house, driving them to commit unspeakable acts in the name of reclaiming the Silmarils. The first major consequence of the oath is the kinslaying at Alqualunde, where Feanor and his followers attack the Teleri elves, who refuse to lend them ships to pursue Melkor. This act of fratricide, elves killing elves, is unprecedented and marks the beginning of a tragic spiral into violence and moral degradation. The kinslaying represents the ultimate betrayal of the elves' noble ideals, staining the Noldor with a blood guilt that will haunt them for generations. Feanor's willingness to sacrifice his kin for his own purposes demonstrates the corrupting power of pride and desire, themes that Tolkien explores throughout the Silmarillion. The kinslaying introduces a recurring motif in Tolkien's work: the moral consequences of vengeance. While the Noldor's desire to reclaim the Silmarils is understandable, their actions reveal the dangers of allowing vengeance to override compassion and reason. By attacking their own kin, the Noldor lose their moral authority and become tainted, reflecting Tolkien's belief that the pursuit of justice, when fueled by hatred, can lead to self-destruction. Following the kinslaying, the Noldor continue their journey to Middle-earth, driven by their desire for revenge and their quest to reclaim the Silmarils. However, as they leave Valinor, the Valar pronounce the doom of Mandos, a prophecy that declares the Noldor will find neither peace nor victory in their pursuit. The doom of Mandos serves as a foreshadowing of the tragedy that awaits the Noldor in Middle-earth, marking them as exiles from the paradise of Valinor and foretelling the suffering they will endure. The doom of Mandos highlights Tolkien's theme of exile and loss. The Noldor's departure from Valinor is not simply a physical journey. It is a fall from grace, a departure from a state of innocence and harmony into a world marred by conflict and darkness. In this way, the exile of the Noldor mirrors the human experience of leaving paradise, or a state of innocence, emphasizing Tolkien's belief in the inherent flaws of even the noblest beings. Upon arriving in Middle-earth, the Noldor wage a series of wars against Morgoth in their attempt to reclaim the Silmarils and secure dominion over Beleriand. These conflicts, known as the Wars of Beleriand, are marked by heroism, betrayal, and tremendous loss. The elves, though powerful, are no match for Morgoth's forces, which include creatures of immense strength and terror, such as Balrogs and dragons. The Wars of Beleriand illustrate the futility of violence and the cost of pride. Despite their valor and sacrifice, the Noldor cannot overcome the power of Morgoth, whose dominion in Middle-earth only strengthens with time. Throughout the wars, the Silmarils remain out of reach, symbolizing the elusive nature of Feanor's dream and the impossible quest that drives the Noldor to their doom. The Silmarils become a burden, inspiring acts of bravery but also leading to betrayal, as seen in the story of Mithros and Fingon, who attempt to unite the elves against Morgoth. Yet, despite these efforts, the Silmarils continue to represent the tragic irony of beauty and power. They inspire greatness but also corrupt those who desire them. The story of the Silmarils, from their creation to the exile of the Noldor and the wars of Beleriand, embodies the moral complexity of Tolkien's world. The Silmarils, as objects of beauty and power, reveal the dual nature of desire, inspiring both noble deeds and acts of cruelty. Feanor's pride and the oath of the Noldor illustrate the destructive consequences of unchecked ambition, while the wars of Beleriand underscore the futility of pursuing vengeance at the expense of compassion and unity. In the Silmarillion, the story of the Silmarils is a tragic reminder of the dangers of pride and the necessity of humility. Despite their downfall, the Noldor's resilience and courage in the face of overwhelming darkness demonstrate Tolkien's belief in the endurance of hope and the possibility of redemption. The legacy of the Silmarils serves as both a cautionary tale and a testament to the enduring power of beauty, even in a world marred by darkness and loss.